realize before you listen to what she has to say that under President Obama's watch, the debt has been increased by an amount that is greater than the total amount of the debt that was accumulated by every president from George Washington to the beginning of George W. Bush's first term in office. From 1776 to 2001, Barack Obama racked up more debt in 4 years than our presidents had from 1776 to 2001. What is that, 225 years? He racked up more debt in 4 years than prior presidents did in 225 years. Now, here is Rachel Maddow. You know, when you listen to this, you know, you think there is something wrong with the brain chemistry of these people. There is some malformation in the oblongata laga or whatever they have up there that, their amygdala or whatever they got up there is like totally misfiring. Here is Rachel Maddow.
The Obama administration kind of declared war on peacocks in this announcement yesterday. It is worth wondering if they might not actually be better off if they did strut on these issues a little bit more than they like to. Because you would never know it from the way the deficit peacocks are crowing against this administration. But the deficit is now more than $200 billion smaller than it was when President Obama first took office. We are currently witnessing the fastest deficit reduction in this country since the end of World War II.
That's unbelievable. I have no idea what she is talking about, and she doesn't either. I mean, we are on track again for another $1.1 trillion deficit this year alone. 888-589-8840. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Justin in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. Justin, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I can't complain. It's warm inside, very cold outside.
Boy, it is. You know, yesterday it was like 71 degrees at about noon, and then it about froze last night.
Yeah, I'm about ready to get hit with ice here. But I watched all of Obama's press conference for whatever reason. I must have been really bored at the time. But anyway.
Actually, I tell you, Justin, if I was running a prison system, I would make my guys sit down and watch that, but I bet the Supreme Court would rule that that's cruel and unusual punishment. I'd get my hands slapped. So anyway, I commend you for your bravery and courage. Go ahead.
Thank you. But, you know, when he was talking about raising the debt ceiling and all this mess, the thought occurred to me, you know, it might be time for the government to get weaned off a little bit of money. Yes, it's going to be painful. The stock market will probably take a hit because our credit rating will probably get downgraded again. But that might be what it takes for us to realize, hey, we can't spend money we don't have. Well, I make X number of dollars a month. I can't spend 2 times that much or 3 times that much. I have to spend what I have. And if I try to spend more, if I try to write a check more for what I have, it gets bounced.
Yeah. Well, you know, and you're exactly right, Justin. Listen, I appreciate the call very much. In fact, I think, to close the loop on that, I think what we should have done instead of waterboarding people, just make them listen to a press conference of President Obama. They will scream for relief and divulge any secrets that they're withholding in a matter of minutes. Be far more effective than waterboarding. And by the way, that movie that had waterboarding, Zero Dark 30, that's been basically ash-canned at the Oscar level because of the political consequences. People in Hollywood hate the fact that it vindicates George W. Bush, because I haven't seen the movie, but I understand the first scene in the movie shows this guy being waterboarded and coughing up the information that enables him to get Osama bin Laden. So it completely exonerates and vindicates waterboarding, which is not torture, no matter what you hear about it. I mean, they had people on college campuses doing waterboarding, having one student waterboard another in the middle of the plaza to show what an inhumane process is. Well, that's not torture then. You know, if you got a guy pulling somebody's fingernails out, maybe that's a different deal, but they weren't, and it's obviously that's torture. Waterboarding is not. You think you're drowning, but you're not. And so it's not torture, just playing with your head. So anyway, you know, and Rand Paul said the same thing today. I've been saying on this program since day one, if we want a balanced budget, the way we get it is we don't need a balanced budget amendment. We just don't raise the debt ceiling. We just don't raise the debt ceiling. And then by close of business that day, we've got a balanced budget. We cannot spend more than we take in. And Rand Paul's now out there saying it. It's the first time I've heard somebody in Congress saying the same thing that we've been saying here for a month on Focal Point. If you don't raise the debt ceiling, you instantaneously, immediately, that day, have a balanced budget. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Balanced budget by the close of business that day. And Rand Paul says, look, what we'll have to do is we've got enough money coming in. He said 30%. I think it's closer to 40%. We're borrowing like 42 cents of every dollar we spend. So we can afford about 60 to 70% of the government we're paying for right now. That's all we can afford. That's all the money that's coming in. So Rand Paul says, look, well, that'll compel us to only spend what's coming in. Just like Justin said, you got to live inside your means or you're going to get yourself in some serious trouble. And Rand Paul says, look, that'll be a balanced budget. We do that. We got a balanced budget right away. And this is what we do. We got to prioritize spending. And that's exactly what has to happen. That's what happens to you when you realize you've got to trim back. You're spending more than you're taking in, and your household is going to go broke. It's going to go bankrupt if you don't make adjustments. What do? You prioritize spending. You know, we did that when we moved here to Mississippi. We had to make some changes, and we prioritized our spending to figure out how we're going to make things stretch and get by. That's just what you do when you have a shift in your income level. And so Rand Paul says, look, we just got to prioritize. You know, priority one, let's make sure we take care of the debt. And it only takes 10% of revenue to do it. So realize, ladies and gentlemen, if we go into default, the only one that can send the United States into default is Barack Obama. Do not forget that. The only one who can send the United States into default is President Barack Obama if he refuses to pay the interest on the debt. So that's priority one. Priority two, Rand Paul says, Social Security, make sure they get their benefits. Priority three would be the military. And then you can prioritize after that. And there's enough money there to take care of those obligations. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Robert in Bentonville, Arkansas. Robert, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was just wanted to maybe jump a news release. I was in a local Wal-Mart, and in the sporting goods section, I overheard an associate that was talking about a news release. And I think he was on the phone reading back a news statement that appeared to be going out, stating that Walmart was going to choose not to replenish their ammunition. They were not agreeing to stop the sale of ammunition. They were just not going to reorder. And in fact, what they were going to do is just order enough to keep their DC stocked and then wait for the situation to kind of work itself out, and then at that point they would reissue. And anyway, something to be discussed. And
so it was.
I thought it was interesting.
All right, so it wasn't a permanent ban on reordering ammo. It's just that they're not going to reorder anymore right now. And when the shelves are bare, that's it. They're not going to sell any more ammo. They're not going to reorder, restock any ammo until whatever happens with gun control happens at the congressional level.
That's what it appeared.
Okay, well, that's interesting. And, you know, Barack Obama called Wal-Mart in, and they tried to browbeat them into stopping gun sales and ammo sales. And it looks like this was kind of the concession that Wal-Mart was willing to make. Well, we're not going to stop selling it completely, but we won't restock. We won't reorder when you run out. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate the call. That is a bit of breaking news from the front. And, somebody made the point. This is a great point. President Obama is, in fact, making America safer because gun sales are absolutely through the roof. So he is making America safer one diktat at a time. Let's go to Bill in College Station, Texas. Bill, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to talk about the budget here. You know, we're talking about them not raising the debt ceiling, and that old Blue and True movie. I might not be a smart man, but you do not fund Obamacare. That's one of the biggest money pinches that has been introduced so far. Don't fund some of these agencies like Planned Parenthood. That takes a lot of money. And these countries, these terrorist countries that we're sending millions and millions of dollars to, we can find a lot to cut that won't even affect us at all here in this country.
Well, and I think that's what Rand Paul is talking about. Look, if we have to live within our means, we just have to prioritize. We've got to decide what are the priority functions of government. We've got to make sure we take care of. And he suggested, obviously the debt's got to be first. Second, he suggested Social Security. Third would be the military. And then you have to start prioritizing things below that. And trust me, those government agencies like the FDA and the Department of Energy and the Department of Education and the Commerce Department, all of these massive bureaucracies that do nothing but cob up the American business climate, those are going to have to be low priority items. Everybody would say, well, if we're going to have to slice one, let's make sure the Social Security folks get their slice. Let's make sure the Medicare folks get their slice. And everything else is going to have to take a lower priority. And so you might start seeing a leaner and meaner government just simply out of necessity, because right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have way more government than we can afford. We have much more government than we are paying for. We have $5 of government on $3 worth of gas. Can't last forever. We got to trim it back. We got to get $3 of government for $3 worth of gas. Place to start, do not raise the debt ceiling. And again, you might have heard it here first. Apparently, breaking news, Wal-Mart is not going to reorder ammo until Congress deals with gun control. Focal Point AFR Talk, back after the news.
American Family Radio.